Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Sridevi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Dear devotees, today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Sridevi Mataji. And Mataji is going to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, verse 7. So Mataji, I thank you for your time and association. And please take over the call, Mataji. I will share the screen. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Please accept my obeisances, my humble obeisances, dear Vrinda. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Gurudevs, and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis online. Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I chose this particular topic because I wanted to talk about the qualifications of a disciple. Guru Maharaj has been speaking about the spiritual master, and we've had two wonderful nectarian classes yesterday, day before, on this topic. So I thought, let me continue with that trend in a slightly different way to see that what a disciple needs to do in order to progress in spiritual life as well as please the spiritual master. So today's topic is qualifications of a disciple, and I've chosen this particular verse. It is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 22, which is entitled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So here, actually, this particular conversation is happening between Swayambhuva Manu, the father of Devahuti, and Kardama Muni, who has come to speak with Kardama Muni and offer his daughter Devahuti in marriage to Kardama Muni. It's really very interesting conversation. So the verse goes like this. First, let me begin with the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the verse goes like this. Tishta tvaya kritaschanugraho mahan apavritaya narandhrair jushtadishtyo shatir giraha. And translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has given directions in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on how to accept a bona fide spiritual master and how to deal with him. First, the desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master, and then he must very eagerly receive instructions from him and execute them. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide spiritual master or saintly person always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him. Because everyone is under the delusion of Maya and is forgetful of his prime duty, Krishna consciousness, a saintly person always desires that everyone become a saintly person. It is the function of a saintly person to invoke Krishna consciousness in every forgetful common man. Manu said that he was advised and instructed by Kardama Muni, he was very much favored. He considered himself lucky to receive the message by oral reception. It is especially mentioned here that one should be very inquisitive to hear with open ears from the authorized source of the bona fide spiritual master. How is one to receive? One should receive the transcendental message by oral reception. The word karna randhrai means through the holes of the ears. The favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. This does not mean, however, that the spiritual master gives a particular type of mantra through the ears in exchange for some dollars. And if the man meditates on that, he achieves perfection and becomes God within 6 months. Such reception through the ears is bogus. The real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness, and he instructs him in that way. He instructs him through the ear, not privately, but publicly. You are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness. You can act in this way. One person is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by working in the deity's room. Another is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by performing editorial work. Another is advised to do preaching work. And another is advised to carry out Krishna consciousness in the cooking department. There are different departments of activity in Krishna consciousness, and a spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a particular man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life simply by offering service according to his ability, just as Arjuna served Krishna by his ability in the military art. Arjuna offered his service fully as a military man and he became perfect. Similarly, an artist can attain perfection simply by performing artistic work under the direction of the spiritual master. If one is a literary man, he can write articles and poetry for the service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. One has to receive the message of the spiritual master regarding how to act in one's capacity, for the spiritual master is expert in giving such instructions. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of that instruction by the disciple, makes the entire process perfect. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his explanation of the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, which we'll see in a moment, that one who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success must take the instruction from the spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute that particular instruction and should consider that his life and soul. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the ears and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. I offer my humble obeisances to my beloved spiritual master, His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, by whose merciful enlightenment, my eyes that were tightly shut by the darkness of ignorance have been opened by the torchlight of knowledge. So we have come to a very instructive verse, my dear spirit souls. We want to understand how to make our life perfect. Somehow, by some great good fortune, we can stop the screen share, and I would like to see everyone instead of just staring at the screen. It would be nice to see everyone. If you can put on your cameras, that would be wonderful. So, thank you, Vrinda. So here we come to a very, very important and very instructive verse, which is teaching us the process of making our life perfect. We may think, I've come to Krishna consciousness, this is wonderful, but what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to serve my spiritual master? What is my particular purpose? What ultimately is the divine purpose of my life in Krishna consciousness? How am I supposed to use my talents, my skills, my abilities, and serve the spiritual master, serve the Vaishnavas, and please Krishna? How do we do that? What do we need to do that? So the process begins with hearing very carefully the instructions of the spiritual master, obeying those instructions very carefully, making those instructions our life and soul. That is the secret to success in Krishna consciousness, because by pleasing the spiritual master, the Lord is pleased. And when the Lord is pleased through the spiritual master, we get the mercy to make more advancement in spiritual life. So this is the process, and it begins with hearing. Hearing is very important. And then after hearing, we digest what has been said, we ask questions, we make inquiries in order to clarify whatever doubts we have. And once we have assimilated that, that means we have incorporated that knowledge deep within ourselves, then we know what action to take in Krishna consciousness to make our lives perfect. As this purport says, Arjun became perfect by what? Hearing. What did he say? Shishyasteham shadi tvam mam prapannam. Now I am a disciple and surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And then Krishna starts speaking, giving the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And simply by hearing, Arjuna becomes perfect. And what does he say? Karishye vachanam tava. I will listen to you. I will follow your instructions. I will do as you say. I will fight. In the beginning, what he said? I will not fight. Oh, Govinda, I give up. I'm not going to do this. It's too much. Better if I go to the forest. Better if I become renounced. But after hearing the instructions of Krishna, he says, now I am ready to fight, because Krishna instructs him. So similarly, the spiritual master, out of great compassion for the fallen conditioned souls like us, was struggling so hard with the material modes of nature. He's trying to release us from this network in which we are bound up like fish caught in a net. And by hearing his instructions, gradually will become less and less entangled with the material energy and move closer and closer to Krishna. The source of all happiness, all love, all reciprocation is found in the most perfect way in our relationship with Krishna. Now, I want to relate an incident which happened to illustrate how important this hearing process is. This was in the very early days when Srila Prabhupada was just becoming a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He was already a householder. He already had his little son and household life and so on. So he could not meet his spiritual master so often. But whenever he got a chance, he would travel to where his spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, was holding discourses or doing parikramas or having a Bhagavad Katha course going on. And he would try to attend and he would try to hear. So I'm going to read out one beautiful, let's see, where is that? Okay, maybe I took it off my screen. But anyway, Srila Prabhupada was traveled to Mathura, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj had this meeting of all the devotees. And that evening it was announced that there's a bus going to the Sheshashayi temple, but it was also the last day that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj would be giving a lecture in the evening. So people had a choice. Those who wanted to go to the temple, they were given that option. If you like to go, you can go. But also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will be speaking today evening. So Srila Prabhupada thought, what will I do going to temple? I would rather like to hear from my spiritual master. So though he was still fairly new, he stayed back, and a few select god brothers were also there, senior god brothers, and they all noticed Abhay Babu, as he was called. And then one of his senior god brothers introduced him, saying, this is Abhay Babu. And that time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, yes, I have marked him. He likes to hear. I will accept him as my disciple. So he noted that this young man was very interested in listening to what he had to say. He was very, very, very inquisitive to understand the transcendental knowledge from the pure devotee of the Lord. And he was intently listening to what his spiritual master said. As we all know, the rest is history, because all those instructions we have come to know through Srila Prabhupada's books, all those purports and all the wonderful, wonderful inspiration that the first generation of disciples got were from those instructions that were given to Srila Prabhupada. Go and preach in the West. So Srila Prabhupada said later on, I did not much from my spiritual master. I was just listening to him. I was just listening more. I was hearing what he had to say. And he had very few meetings, actual meetings also with his Gurudev. But then he finally asked, please tell me how I can serve you. And that was in the last stages of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's manifest pastimes on this earth. And he gave him that same instruction that he had given in that very first meeting in 1922. You are educated young men. Why don't you go and preach this message of Lord Chaitanya to the English-speaking countries of the West? That same instruction came in the form of a letter in 1936, almost December 1936, because January 1st, 1937, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj left this place to go on to higher realms, to the spiritual world, or wherever the preaching was to take place. So we can understand how Srila Prabhupada became empowered simply by faithfully hearing the message that he had received in parampara, in disciplic succession, coming from the Lord himself. So hearing becomes very, very important for our spiritual life. And how we must hear? We must hear with rapt attention, because the words that are coming from the mouth of the spiritual master will become our life and soul. Make the words emanating from the lotus mouth of our spiritual master one with your heart, and do not desire anything else. Vrinda, if you can pull up the Guru Vandanam prayers, Shri Guru Charana Padma, and then we can just take a look at those beautiful song and the translations. I would like to read out relevant parts of that translation to go with what I want to say, because this is the meditation in our Guru Vandanam prayers. Every morning we do Guru Puja. Why do we do Guru Puja every morning? Srila Prabhupada instituted this. Actually, in the days of Srila Prabhupada before, Guru Puja was done only on the Vyasa Puja of the spiritual master, only that day. But Srila Prabhupada introduced Guru Puja every day. Why? Because he knew with our Kali Yuga brains and our Western education and our no training whatsoever in Vedic culture or understanding or legacy, we don't have all those things. We are very, very polluted and contaminated by this age of Kali. We will very easily be deviated unless we daily meditate on the mercy of the spiritual master, unless we meditate on the position of the spiritual master, understanding who he is. So this is a very powerful prayer and a song and a meditation where Narottam Das Thakur, was it Narottam Das Thakur, who's glorifying Lokanath Swami? Lokanath Lokere Jivana. Yes. No, not Narottam. I forget. Anyway.
Author you're asking, Mataji?
Yeah, Narottam Das. Yeah, there it is. Narottam Das. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Mui Savadhana Mate Yahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Krishna Prapti Hoye Yaha Hote Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriho Mani Asha. Let's go down to the translation of this particular two lines, because they're extremely important for us to understand. And we will look at the whole translation also. Can you go below? Yeah. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. Okay. So this is a little different translation, but It's all right. There's a more recent translation where it says, make the words emanating from the lotus mouth of our spiritual master one with your heart and do not desire anything else. Then attachment to his lotus feet is the best means of spiritual perfection, like that. So who is the spiritual master? He is actually the mercy manifestation of the Lord, who has come down to this material world from the spiritual world to release us from this horrible, I say the word horrible, all seriousness, because our existence is actually alien to who we really are. We are not meant to suffer in this material world the way we are, in this material body, which is actually an encumbrance. Our real self is full of knowledge, full of bliss, and is eternal. It is spiritual. It is qualitatively the same as Krishna, who is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss, and we are tiny particles of that same pure, perfect knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Just imagine that. But here we are, struggling in the material world. But we can attain that perfection by carefully following the instructions of the spiritual master. I have another pastime of Lord Chaitanya in which this is very beautifully illustrated. Lord Chaitanya was on his South India tour. Okay, we can stop the screen here. Was on his South India tour, and he came to this particular temple and he saw this illiterate Brahmana. He was looking at the Bhagavad Gita and he was trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, but he was illiterate. But his spiritual master had given him this instruction that every day you sit down and you read the Bhagavad Gita. His spiritual master knew he was illiterate. And this person could have thought, I'm an illiterate person. My spiritual master has asked me to read Bhagavad Gita, but I don't know how to read. So forget it. I'll just, think that maybe he was not in his right mind when he gave that instruction. This is our Kali Yuga brain. This is how we would think. But no, my spiritual master has asked me to read Bhagavad Gita. So every day I will sit down and I will read Bhagavad Gita. Now, all the other, polished brahmanas and pandits who are scholars, they would make fun of this person. Oh, you're reading Bhagavad Gita. I see. Oh, very nice, very nice. And so, the poor little illiterate Brahmana would not pay too much attention. But when Lord Chaitanya came to him and saw him so moved by what he was reading, and Lord Chaitanya asked, my dear Brahmana, I can see you're very affected by what you're reading in the Bhagavad Gita. What is it that is moving you so much? And then this Brahmana, he could see that this person is not making fun of him. He really wants to know. So he said, yes, when I look at the Bhagavad Gita and I see this beautiful form of the Lord, who is actually, becoming the chariot driver. Imagine God becoming the chariot driver of his disciple. He's giving him such menial service as God. He's doing this. My heart is very moved and I begin to cry. I begin to shed tears at how much love the Lord has for his dear disciple. So Lord Chaitanya became very pleased with him and he said, yes, you have understood the real meaning of the Gita. You have understood the Bhagavad Gita. So it is not by erudition. It is not by scholarship. It's not by academic achievements. It's not by name, fame, position, political connections, or whatever connections, or money or wealth or prestige. These things don't impress the spiritual master. They have nothing to do with spiritual life, actually. What is needed is thorough, firm, and committed allegiance to the words of the spiritual master and the instructions of the spiritual master, making them our life and soul. Then there will be no impediments and we will be on the path to perfection in this very life. Srila Prabhupada said, make your life perfect in this very lifetime and go back home to Krishna. Don't waste time. Don't make me come back. That's what Prabhupada said. So we can take courage. We can take these instructions. We can take these words seriously and make our lives perfect too. It is not that only the Pandavas can go back to Godhead. Only Kunti Devi can go back to Godhead. Only Draupadi can go back to Godhead. Only the great devotees. Every one of us is given that same opportunity to make our life perfect. It doesn't matter who we are, where we are, what we are, how we are. These things don't matter. What matters is how carefully we are following the instructions of the spiritual master. Then we can find, we can see in ourselves, we can check within ourselves what's going on. Am I becoming more Krishna conscious? Am I becoming more attracted to the service of Krishna? Am I overcoming my anarthas? Am I becoming more inclined towards Vaishnav Seva? Am I getting more taste for the holy name? All these things will slowly start happening in our lives as we carefully hear. And hearing, Shravanam is the first one. Hearing the holy name as we are chanting, carefully chanting the holy name with attention, avoiding the offenses will give rise to more and more pure chanting so that we don't make the other 10 offenses. The 11th offense, inattention, actually gives rise to all the other offenses. So, following the instructions carefully. And what is the most important instruction? Chanting our 16 rounds every day without fail on the beads is the first and most important instruction of the spiritual master. Vrinda, can you take us to Chaitanya Charitamrita? Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse number 113. This is a very instructive purport. Srila Prabhupada is given us such an important instruction, and I would like us to take a look at it. How is everybody doing so far? Are you with me or are you tuned out? Okay, here, this is a very famous verse and something that we all must meditate on. Smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavyo na jatu chet sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayor eva kinkaraha. Translation: Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. Okay, so then, how do we always remember Krishna? These regulative principles act servants of the basic principle, that is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. And what is the formula to do this? Srila Prabhupada says, this is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Maha Mantra, 24 hours daily. One may have other duties to perform under the direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. This chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. You see that? So the conclusion is that, the last line, one must act in such a way that he will always remember Krishna, and one must refrain from doing things that make him forget Krishna. These two principles form the basic background of Krishna consciousness. So we want to become fully focused on what? Remembering Krishna. And we don't want to become spaced out, many branched. Let's go to this verse, which is mentioned in the purport of this main verse we were talking about. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. That is Bhagavad Gita 2:41. Vrinda, if you can pull that up for us, because there it is very clearly mentioned. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. So we don't want to become irresolute. We don't want to become scattered and distracted and deluded and overpowered by the material energy. We want to be focused. We want to be determined. We want to be one-pointed. And what is that? I must become Krishna conscious. I must develop the love for Krishna that is already in my heart. It is already there. We just need to bring it out by uncovering all the layers that are covering our heart. So you see, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. Oh, beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport: a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 2062 states, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sudrida Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family, traditions, humanity, nationality, etc., etc. We have only one obligation, my dear spirit souls: allegiance to the words of the spiritual master. Only allegiance. The resolute purpose, I'm going to go straight to the second paragraph, of a person in Krishna consciousness is not whimsical, it's not sentimental, it is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely the self, family, society, country, humanity, so on. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, everyone will be satisfied. So let's go back to the verse that we were talking about. Oh, let me finish this one too. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us, therefore, in his famous prayer for the spiritual master as follows. Yasya prasadat bhagvat prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi, dhyayanstuvam tasya yashastri sandhyam, vande guru shri charanaravindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, what happens? The Supreme Lord becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. So you see how important it is for us to understand, for us to first and foremost hear, and then to follow the instructions of the Guru. So, my dear Brinda, if you will allow me to share screen, I have one very important quote that I will pull up on my screen to share with you. This is from the famous book, The Spiritual Master and the Disciple by Sri Subhananda Das, who compiled various quotes from various literatures to speak about the spiritual master and the disciple. And here again, this is very beautifully described. Divine consciousness is kindled by hearing submissively from the spiritual master. The Lord can be realized through the oral reception of the transcendental message, and that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot. So, this process of submissively hearing and understanding who is the guru and what is his position, and then once we understand that, very carefully taking the instructions of the spiritual master as our life and soul will help us to make our life perfect. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshantite jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So our process is perfect, it is bona fide, it is authorized, it is complete, it is coming from the Lord himself, and it is guaranteed to give us perfection. So are we ready? Are we ready to follow? That's the question. So we are very conditioned. We are, full of our own ideas, false concepts, false ego, our own whimsical nature, our restless mind, and so on and so forth. And the spiritual master understands that and is very, very tolerant and patient and tries to help the child to start walking. We are crawling right now. We are like little babies trying to hold on and stand up in the first place. Before we can take to walking, we have to first learn to stand up at least. So we are all being sheltered and protected and nurtured and nourished by the spiritual master's words, and we must make them our life and soul. By doing this, we will slowly gain more and more knowledge, more and more awareness, more and more Shakti. We will actually gain strength to go against the current of Kali Yuga and become Krishna conscious. So thank you all for listening so patiently. I hope I haven't bored you to tears. We'll now open up for questions, comments, chastisements, corrections, anything that you like. Thank you all very much. My humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. As always, it was a very enlightening class, and you gave so many references from so many other verses too. This is a very important topic, actually, how we should hear through our ears submissively from our spiritual master. Thank you so much, Mataji. I see Raj Prabhuji has raised his hand. Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. All glories to yourself. All devotees present here.
Please accept mine. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Dev.
I have two questions. First one is Guru Maharaj said yesterday, and you repeated today, about spiritual master should be identified not through sentiment but through knowledge. And I was thinking, I don't have, many of us, including myself, do not have sufficient knowledge to identify a true spiritual master. And I guess I don't have direct knowledge, but my approach, and you can tell me whether this sentiment or not, my approach was, well, I had the perfect teacher. I had a perfect teacher who I knew that was full of knowledge and understanding in Jankinath Prabhu. And because I knew how much respect and love he had for his spiritual master, I felt automatically, well, if this Maharaj can be the spiritual master for my perfect teacher, then he's a million times qualified to be my spiritual master. Now, is that knowledge or is that a sentiment?
No, you are evaluating, you're seeing for yourself, because it is very important to observe and to see how the spiritual master is having an effect on the disciples. Chintamani, whatever he touches is transcendental and transforms the person's life. So you got so inspired by Janakinath because you could see what a wonderful example he had become of a pure devotee himself by following the instructions of his spiritual master. This is Guru Parampara. So we take inspiration by seeing other devotees, by seeing how allegiance to their spiritual master has purified them, empowered them, strengthened them, given them so many good qualities. So it's not sentimental. You're not just saying, oh, he has beautiful eyes and he plays the mridanga so nicely, so I'll follow him. You're seeing how his life was transformed. You're seeing the effects of following the instructions, how Janakinath became an exemplary devotee, and therefore you are inspired to follow the person who taught him. So that's not sentimental.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a second question, but I don't know if I should wait until others have a chance to ask. Or should I ask now?
Well, since we don't have anyone as yet, maybe you can go ahead and ask.
So my second question is, Guru Maharaj gives many instructions and in different forms. And one example of his instructions is through these daily Zoom classes. He gives much knowledge and he also gives instructions every day. And sometimes I pick up on some of these instructions and try to implement them, and I see that when you implement them, I see that how they're perfect. I see how perfect his words are. But because he gives so many instructions in these classes, it's actually difficult to pick up on and implement all of them, or sometimes it may be even difficult to pick up which are the right ones for me. So I guess I've just been picking, oh, that's something I could do, and that's something I want to do. But it may not be the right things. So how do you get over this when there is an abundance of instructions?
Well, this is where the inquiry comes. The spiritual master knows what is the best way the disciples' talents and skills can be utilized to serve Krishna. See, here it says, he instructs him through the year, not privately but publicly. He says, you are fit for such and such a work in Krishna consciousness. You can act like this. So he instructs him by teaching him and instructing him how to do things nicely in Krishna consciousness. And then we saw further, an artist can attain perfection by performing artistic work. If one is a literary man, he can write articles and poetry. When I read this, I thought of you, by the way. For the service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. So, and then he says, there are different departments of activity. And a spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. And we saw that there's cooking department, there is, organization department, like this, all the different departments were mentioned, and how the spiritual master will advise the disciple. See here, one person is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by working in the deity's room. Another is advised to act by performing editorial work. Another is advised to do preaching work. Another is advised to carry out Krishna consciousness in the cooking department. So each one of us has some particular skill, talent, or maybe even several, And the spiritual master, knowing the nature of his disciple, will guide and direct him or her accordingly. So making inquiries by writing to the spiritual master and saying, "My dear Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your divine grace. This is your humble disciple wondering what is the best way I can serve you and serve the Krishna consciousness movement. What is it that I'm supposed to do in order to please you?" And the spiritual master, seeing the sincere desire of the disciple to serve, will guide. I'll just give you an example. One of our god brothers is a brilliant musician, actually, really brilliant musician. And he's also very, very intelligent. At one point, he wanted to take up law. He wanted to become a lawyer. He said to Guru Maharaj, "I think I should go to law school and become an attorney. You know, I can fight for ISKCON. I can, do so many things for ISKCON." And our Guru Maharaj said, "Nothing doing. No need to go to law school. It will just be Maya for you." Okay? He absolutely forbade it. My case, I wanted to just give up my PhD. I just wanted to throw it all to the winds. I'm a medical doctor who came to America to do my PhD in marriage and family therapy. But the moment I met devotees, the moment I met Guru Maharaj, finished. I just wanted to throw everything, run to the temple and I told Guru Maharaj, "I want to just stay at your lotus feet and just learn everything in Krishna consciousness. I don't mind washing pots and pans. I don't mind doing anything." And Guru Maharaj said, "No, no, 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 no. I don't think so." He said, I have the letter. He said, "You have worked very diligently to prosecute your studies. So now you complete your studies. Krishna has a plan. It will be a great austerity for you to do your PhD, but I think you should do it because Krishna knows someday in the future you will be able to utilize it to serve the devotees." So grumbling and complaining, I did my PhD because it was very difficult. Once you become attracted to the temple and devotees, it's so hard. Here I'm in an American university, you cannot even say the word God. It's that bad because you know how students are, PhD students, we are very scientific, and it was big austerity because I was 265 miles from the nearest temple. There was no temple, there was no preaching program, there was no Namahata, there was nothing. I was all alone on a university campus. Can you imagine how difficult? Oh my God, I don't want to remember even. But because Guru Maharaj said, "You do this," like I said, complaining and grumbling, I did it. So now it is becoming useful to have devotees because, I got all the techniques and the training and the tools and everything. And I joined Grihastha Vision team. By Mother Krishna Nandini's mercy, I got a lot of inspiration, training, and service under her. So I gained a lot of experience in helping devotees. So now, after so many years, I can see that yes, Guru Maharaj was right, as always. So for one person, he said no need to join law school. For another person who wanted to leave, he said, "No, you continue school." So the spiritual master knows exactly. As we read yesterday in Guru Maharaj's class, the spiritual master has unlimited intelligence to direct the student very nicely in Krishna consciousness. So we should have full faith. We should write to Guru Maharaj and we can say, "Guru Maharaj, I would like to do some small service for Krishna. Please instruct me what I should do." So simple.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best. And let me know what Guru Maharaj says. If you like. If you feel like sharing, no compulsion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any question or comment or realization to share? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. All glories to his lotus feet.
Except mine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
I had one question and one experience to share. So I'll ask my question first. So I was just thinking about we face a lot of negative tendency, people with negative tendency. So how do we deal with the people of negative tendency? So if they are, maybe outsiders, or maybe in the professional life, or something like that, we may try to avoid such people. But if they are unavoidable, maybe between your relatives and friends and family, then how do we deal with these kind of people?
Yeah, we are always going to have something, coming at us. That's the nature of this material world. Only in the spiritual world it's all beautiful. Here we have to deal with envy, rivalry, jealousies, insecurities, this thing, that thing, that thing, all the anarthas of ourselves as well as others, and they can sometimes be very, very difficult. So that is why Srila Prabhupada created ISKCON. He said, that is why I have made ISKCON, so that you can have association of devotees. Because it is only in the association of devotees that we will get the love, nourishment, care, concern, correction, everything will come by way of friendships with devotees. And devotees will help you by giving you what you need actually in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's so difficult to deal with the negative energy. It is so overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. But in the association of devotees, we get strength, we get enthusiasm, we get vigor, we get determination, we learn tolerance, we gain patience. So many things happen in the association of devotees. So that is why Srila Prabhupada emphasized 3 things are very important in spiritual life: association, association, association. You see? So try as much as possible to minimize your interactions, with those who are not conducive or inimical to devotional service, and try to associate as much as possible with the devotees, because we cannot, how do I say this? We cannot change them. Let's put it this way. We cannot change them, but we can change our interactions to gain something more positive to combat the negative. Otherwise, we will just go down, because we will be dealing only with the negative energy. We need to have something positive coming in, and the positive needs to outweigh the negative. You see, we need to have more positive. Then we will be able to combat the negative. Otherwise, we can get overwhelmed by the negative energy. It can become very, very difficult.
Since Mataji, we are grihastas, we have to deal with the people around us, which may include such negative people, and they are really unavoidable. As a devotee, as seen, I think as you said, and there was one class of Guru Maharaj in which he said you should really avoid the negative and fault-finding people. Of course, this is a very clear statement from him. But what if we are really unable to avoid such company? We have certain responsibilities towards people around us. So how can we avoid the company? We have to play one thing coming to my mind is that by our past karmas, we are binded to such kind of people. One thing is that, but then how do we overcome it with the help of shastras, maybe, not maybe, but with the help of shastras, and of course, devotees will, advise you in that direction. So that is why I'm seeking advice from a senior devotee like you. So
first and foremost, I'm not senior or anything. I'm just a bumbling fool. What do I know? I'm just trying to get as well. That's much I'm muddling along, Yeah, I'm not in any way senior or anything. So please don't think like that for 1 second also. But I share one particular incident that happened in Madhvacharya's niece. No, I think it was Ramanujacharya's niece. She was being harassed by her mother-in-law so much. She was given so much work to do and she was never given a break, and she went and complained. I think it was Ramanujacharya, if I'm not mistaken, or Madhva.
Yes.
Anyway, the point
Yeah,
is that she went and complained to him, and then he said, don't worry, you just continue doing the best you can. And then he sent his disciple to assist her, to help her out. And he told her to tolerate the mother-in-law, you know, and he sent his disciple to, you know, carry firewood and do all the things that the mother-in-law was, you know, giving that poor girl to do. So many things, you know, that she was overloaded with. So it's not that Krishna is just, you know, allowing everything to happen just like that. There's a particular reason why we are in a particular situation. Maybe some anarthas need to be, you know, rubbed off of us. You know, we don't know why something is happening the way it is happening. But as long as you take shelter of Guru Maharaj, as long as you're chanting the holy name, as long as you're following Krishna's, you know, guidance coming through the spiritual master, you're protected. And that difficult situation can change after some time. It's not going to be forever. Maybe they'll move and they'll go to some other town, or maybe you'll move and go to some other town, or something will happen. Nothing is permanent. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything changes over time. So just having patience and utsaha, dhairya, nishcha. One must be enthusiastic, one must be determined, and one must be patient. And having faith that Krishna has some plan. And Krishna is there to protect me in every situation. Having full faith in the words of the spiritual master will help you to tide over this particular difficult time in your life. And believe me, this won't last forever. That's the only consolation I can give you. But what do I know? Like I said, I know very little. I think it's always nice to ask Guru Maharaj, and you may be having, you know, really truly senior devotees in your temple who will be able to help you out much more than what I could say in this particular situation. And I think you have asked this question several times, so I know it's really weighing on you. I think twice or thrice before you have asked the same question. So maybe best to ask Guru Maharaj and get very clear instructions how to navigate it.
Okay. I think I'll ask my mentor, but then if she says that, then I'll ask Guru Maharaj as well, because I somehow, I don't know, I was just wondering, these are the material things we should ask Guru Maharaj or not. So
well, whatever difficulties we have in material life impacts our spiritual life. You know, it's not so easy. And if you go to verse 2:7 in the Bhagavad Gita, it says there are so many material perplexities. Vrinda, can you pull up 2:7 for us, Bhagavad Gita? And it's saying, just by its very nature, this life is full of perplexities, and it behooves one to approach the spiritual master to solve these perplexities of life. It is actually written over there that, you know, material life is full of perplexities. That's just the nature of the beast, as they say. Now I'm confused. Yeah, in this, I'm your disciple and a soul. Let's go down into the purport, please. Vrinda? Yeah. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life which happen without our desire. They are like a forest somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, yet it takes place. We become perplexed. Therefore, Vedic wisdom advises, in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of solution, one must approach a spiritual master in the Disciplexus section. So, you are completely bona fide by approaching him. Don't worry. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. So don't fear. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. Ma Shuchaha. Go for it.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. And one incident I was just telling that I will share. So before a few days in this very month, Guru Maharaj came to India in Mumbai, and Guru Maharaj was going to come to my place at lunch, and at the same day, when Guru Maharaj was going to come, he had the only day in his dates. Other days he was busy, so he could not come. So on 21st March, he said he will come. So on that same day, I had the annual function of my child in the school. So, and my in-laws are like, you have to give your life first. So I was just very much confused. What will I do? Guru Maharaj has come, and I really want to serve him. That was just what I wanted to do. I didn't want to lose this chance of serving him. So I was really very confused. And then I messaged my mentor, how should I do? And my guide also. And he said, you should go for it. Whatever happens, just go for it. So as I got the green signal from my mentor as well, from my guide as well, I then got determined that no matter what happens, I want to invite Guru Maharaj, let him come, whatever will be there, we'll see. So I met Guru Maharaj and I confirmed that, okay, Maharaj, I'm fine that you come on this date. So Guru Maharaj said, okay. And then there were little other social complexities also, but then Maharaj asked me that you have some material things working out. If it is not possible for you, then it's okay. So I said, no, Maharaj, material things will just keep going on. I want to serve you, so in any way, I will do it. I'll manage somehow. And that very night, I got my husband gave me the invitation card which came from my child's school, and it said that it was 22nd March. The date was 22nd March. And I was just very astonished that how could it be possible? All these days we on the messages from my child's school, they were discussing about 21st March. So I was like, did I got mistaken? I went and checked the messages on WhatsApp messages for the schools. They were telling about 21st March only. But I was so happy that it was just Krishna's arrangement. And, I was really happy that I got the day blank. And fortunately, that day was really blank because the school had to make arrangements. They didn't even call children for rehearsals. So my day was, all blank.
Beautiful.
For Guru
That
Maharaj.
was Krishna, without a shadow of a doubt. He saw how sincerely you wanted to serve Guru Maharaj. And so for Krishna, it is nothing. Just change the day. This happened to Sri. So she was trying to do a Zoom call and she was in such anxiety. She was thinking, I have a doctor's appointment. How can I do this service? And the doctor's appointment, once I miss the doctor's appointment for 1 month, I won't get the appointment. This, that. She was in such anxiety. And then she gets a call from the doctor saying, I'm postponing the appointment to, I think, later in the week or something. And so she could do her service as the Zoom host and keep the doctor's appointment. And she related this in the class. I remember her saying this, and Guru Maharaj said, that's Krishna. That's Krishna. He saw that you wanted to serve sincerely. He just, what is not possible for Krishna? This is nothing for Krishna.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj says he can turn night into day and day into night. He can turn land into water. He can turn water into land. He can make a mountain suddenly arise out of the ocean. He can push a mountain down into ocean. He can do anything. So Krishna is wonderful.
Yes.
And simply by a sincere desire to serve, miracles will happen. Always believe in miracles. Krishna
Yeah, this incident really made me believe. There were series of incidents actually when Maharaj came, Mataji, but yeah, this was one of the prominent ones. So yeah, I was really happy when Maharaj came. I was all, I was all concentrating on Maharaj. Whatever is happening in my grihastha life, okay, let it just go on. I'll see to it after Guru Maharaj goes.
Exactly. And then Krishna took care of the rest. You didn't even have to see to it. Krishna just took care of everything. So that was wonderful, beautiful. Just see how wonderful, and just see how wonderful our spiritual master is.
Yeah.
By following him, just by doing a little service for him, just see how much benefit we are getting. Isn't that wonderful?
Totally.
Jai Guru Maharaj ki Jai.
Yeah. And my
Beautiful.
my son also got the chance to get his company, and Guru Maharaj was quite friendly with him. I was happy.
Yeah, Guru Maharaj will joke and he will tease, he will laugh. He's so good with kids. He starts, I'll tell you this. Once he travels to different places. And so, one person was telling me the story. He's saying, I was thinking, what are all these sounds coming from my son's bedroom? They seem to be having such a good time. Let me go and see what is going on over there. The boy was bouncing up and down on his bed, and Guru Maharaj was also bouncing up and down on the bed. Jumping with the little one. Guru Maharaj becomes like a little child himself with kids, and he does such funny things. Oh my God, you should just see it. Guru Maharaj is wonderful. Wonderful, simply wonderful.
It was really nice. I was just thinking I'll support Ruhan. I mean, my child, my son. He's a little bit, he's more grippy on his mother tongue. So I'll just help him out if you want to, communicate with Guru Maharaj. But out of my surprise, he communicated all by his own, and as if I was just standing and seeing both of them how they are communicating. I didn't have to interfere actually when they were talking. So I was surprised with that, and Guru Maharaj was asking, okay, do you have any more questions? So Ruhan is like, no Maharaj, nothing. For now it's okay. And Guru Maharaj, oh, fine, thank you, good for me.
Wonderful. So nice to hear all this. Guru Katha. I'm sure, all of you out there have had so many wonderful things happening when Guru Maharaj either visited you or instructed you or chastised you even, and how you changed for the better because of all those things. I know for sure that, I have received so much chastisement, but every chastisement has only helped me to get better, honestly. It's just Guru Maharaj's way of bringing us closer to Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing all that. If anyone else has comments, thank you. If you want to share something about Guru Maharaj, that's fine too. Okay, looks like no one really has any more questions or comments. Is that correct, Brinda?
Yes, Mataji, I don't see any raised hand or any question in the chat.
Okay. Srimati has come on. Does Srimati have anything?
Nothing, Mataji. Just want to thank you for this wonderful class. And thank you, Namrata Mataji, for sharing. Everyone gets this type of experience. As Guru Maharaj says, it's all Krishna's mercy. When we try to serve Guru Maharaj sincerely, automatically our path clears up by Krishna. Yeah, that's what even I experienced. Vrinda Mataji was also there. Actually, she was hosting. And you remember Vrinda Mataji on that day, Guru Maharaj was not able to hear us. So we were doing chat messages. So that day, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Satyal Mataji, I just want to thank you. Sridevi Mataji.
Thank you all. I mean, I'm so blessed to have the association of you, because association of devotees is everything. I can see Sri Krishna Chaitanya also in the background smiling away. My humble obeisances. Thank you all so much for your wonderful association, your mercy, your kindness, your tolerance, your willingness to actually be here, listen to this rampant class of mine. Thank you for encouraging me in my service to Guru Maharaj, because he's the one who's ordered me to do this service. So thank you all so much. Sudha Mataji has raised her hand.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danu Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Sorry,
Thank
Mataji.
you, Sudha. Please accept mine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji, I cannot turn on camera today. I'm in the kitchen. Sorry for that.
No problem. No
So
problem.
Mataji, my question is regarding Raj Prabhu's question. We are getting so many instructions from Guru Maharaj every day. We are trying to listen, we are trying to implement, but definitely our intelligence is very low. We may not be able to execute perfectly, but we have a desire. We are putting our efforts to understand and try to execute. So some days, let's say chanting is there. So Guru Maharaj emphasized more on attentive chanting. And we have a desire. Some days we do very good chanting, but due to some times like external disturbances, we may not execute perfectly. So in that process, we experience some unhappiness, guilt, okay, in spite of hearing so much from Guru Maharaj, I'm not really able to do this and not able to handle this. Like any personal, like if I interact with anyone, like if I get disturbed, we experience that guilt and unhappy. So how to handle that? I mean, we are experiencing this repeatedly. Okay, every day I'm listening, every day I'm trying, but still like some things I'm not able to. So so how to handle that guilt and unhappiness, that faith that one day I will definitely implement Guru Maharaj's instructions.
Yeah. We are all trying. We are all just, learning. We are all, like I said, little babies, The baby, when Srila Prabhupada writes this, in a letter, he wrote about this, because one disciple was feeling very bad that he was not doing so well, and he was writing to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, it is natural in the beginning. Just like a child learning to walk, you will stumble and fall. But does the child give up? Does the child say, oh, I've stumbled so many times, I've fallen so many times, I'm going to sit in this corner for the rest of my life? No. What does the child do? Again, it gets up and again it tries. And very soon that child is walking. And then one fine day, the 2 or 3 year old is running all over the place like crazy, from a baby crawling. It's just jumping and doing all kinds of things, isn't it? So similarly, Srila Prabhupada wrote and comforted his disciples, saying it is natural. It is natural. Just like a child learning to walk, you will stumble and fall. But the time will come, the day will come when you will be walking and running in Krishna consciousness. So this is something all of us go through. We make mistakes, we mess up, disappoint the spiritual master. We do all kinds of things. I mean, just recently in Mayapur, Guru Maharaj told me, he said he has a special department called Sridevi, which is unlimited tolerance. He said, if it was any other person, I would get angry. But because it's you, I have this department called unlimited tolerance for Sridevi. He said like this, because I didn't, obviously, I'm not, doing things the way it should be done. I'm also learning. Srila Prabhupada said, when someone complained, oh, the disciples are like this, or this, but he's saying, what can I do? They are still in the shower. They're still, they're trying to get clean. Can you fault someone for being in the shower? Can you say, you're not clean, you're not clean? But they're in the shower, they're trying to get clean. You see?
Yes.
So we are all in the shower. We are just getting purified, and the day will come when we will be purified, but it will take time. It will take effort. It will take patience. It will take tolerance. It will take determination. It will take commitment. And most importantly, it will take association of devotees, because in the association of devotees, we learn from each other, we get encouragement from each other, we get understanding, and we get the strength to go on. So all these things are there in the association of devotees. I just shared that experience to tell you, you're not alone. Every one of us is just messing up all the time, and Guru Maharaj is just somehow or the other tolerating us and trying to drag us back to Godhead. We're not perfect. We're just fumbling. And, Guru Maharaj says, like a little baby, when they're 2 or 3 year old, they make, squiggles and drawings and this and that. And they come running and they say, Mommy, 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 look, I drew a picture of you. And Mommy looks at that picture and she sees all squiggles and rounds and, all things. And she says, wow, so beautiful. I'm so proud of you. So good. That whatever little things you're doing are little squiggles and are little scrawls, he just accepts it out of love. And because the spiritual master is purifying it and offering it, therefore our services get. What hope is there for any of us? So don't worry, Sudha. You're not alone. We are all in the same boat. Don't worry.
Yes, Mataji. I'm just
We're all trying our level best, but we mess up. So just take heart from knowing that everyone is, doing the same thing. When you stumble and fall, do you just stay in the dust forever? No, you just get up, dust off your clothes, and you say, oh, what happened? So what? I'll keep walking, isn't it?
Yes,
So just
yes.
yourself up and keep going. That's all. Not a big deal.
Yes, Mataji. Yes. Thank you so
And
much.
then if you want a very specific service, you can always write to Guru Maharaj and say, Dear Guru Maharaj, I feel that I'm ready to take on some responsibility. I would like to do something small on a regular, steady basis to serve the devotees. Please tell me, what do you think I should do? If you write like that, then Guru Maharaj will give you something if he thinks you're ready to receive it. Or you might say, no, you just carry on, continue chanting your rounds for a little bit more, and then we'll see something. I mean, that will be specific to your case. But know that you will have his shelter. You have his shelter, and his merciful instructions will always be there to protect you, not to worry. Not.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. This really little bit helps me.
Yeah, and I have been, I received the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj in November 2001. So this year, November, it'll be 21 years in Krishna consciousness, and I'm still messing up. You are not even 21 months in Krishna consciousness, so don't worry.
Yes. Yes, Mataji, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the beautiful class today. As always, your classes are very beautiful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you for encouraging me and overlooking, no doubt, many mistakes I must have made. You're all so kind. You'll always say nice things. Nobody chastises me and say, what were you talking? I am grateful for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We all are busy taking inspiration from your enthusiasm, Mataji. We overlook other things.
Oh, thank you. That is nice to know that I have at least some good quality that overshadows the other ones. Thank you very much, Namrata. Okay, I guess we are finishing up, Vrinda.
I think so, Mataji. So there are no more comments or realizations or questions.
Oh, Natasha has sent a comment on Facebook, I believe.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Oh, I should type something in response.
Yeah, I can post it there.
Okay. seriously praying for everyone, you know. I mean it. I'm praying for everyone's spiritual life here in Mayapur. When I go and stand in front of the deities, in front of every altar, I'm praying for each and everybody, for all the obstacles to be removed, for renewed enthusiasm, vigor, strength, courage, whatever it is they need to progress in spiritual life. Please know that.
Thank you, Mataji. Please include me also for this fallen soul.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this beautiful class and all the.
Tomorrow's class is with Bhakti Sangha Charlotte devotees. The time will be 12:20 p.m. UK time. It will be 7:20 a.m. Eastern. And the verse is 5th canto, 19th chapter, 28 verse. 28, yeah. 5, 19, 28.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Srimati. Thank you to all the devotees. My humble obeisances to each and every one of you. Please give me your blessings so that I mess up less, and please do Maharaj more. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your time and association today. We look forward to your association again in future. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, devotees, for joining. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय, हर
जय।
श्री माता जी की जय.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.